All right, these are your notes for today. I want you to pause this right now and copy everything down that you see, and then I'll go forward and we'll talk about how to solve these. All right, so on the top, we're talking about proportional reasoning. Okay, you've actually done this. We just didn't call it proportional reasoning. In fourth grade, it was just called equivalent fractions. Okay, and what you were taught in fourth grade was to check. How to check and see if two fractions are equivalent. Was your teacher most likely told you to use the butterfly method. Butterfly method meaning cross multiply, and if the products are the same, then that means they are equivalent. Okay, so 9 times 12 I believe is 108. I'm going to double check that, sorry. 9 times 12 is 108. And so what you would do is you would also do 27 times 4. 27 times 4, which also equals 108. And so what that means is they were equivalent, they were equal. Okay, fractions in fourth grade were part to whole. Okay, meaning there are, like in that first fraction over there, 4 parts. We have 4 parts, or like 4 shaded areas, and there is a total or a whole amount of 9. Okay, so that's 4 out of 9. Proportions or ratios, like we talked about on Tuesday, are the same, right? They are part to whole also. So let's talk about what proportions are. Okay, so proportions down here are not exactly, they are the same thing, incredibly similar as equivalent fractions. Proportions, instead of being 2 equal fractions, they're 2 equal ratios. Okay, so the difference is ratios aren't just part to whole like the fractions are. Ratios are also part to part. So that's why this is right here. It can be part to whole ratio, which just looks like a fraction, or it can be part to part. So proportions are part to whole and part to part, not just part to whole like fractions. But listen, we can see if 2 ratios are equivalent by doing the same thing as you did in fourth grade. You can, what your fourth grade teacher called butterfly, but we call it cross product, okay, meaning multiplying across. All right, so we would, I labeled these because we label our ratios. I have 4 red to 9 blue and 12 red to 27 blue. Okay, so cross product, I would do 9 times 12, which is 108. And I would do 27 times 4, which is also 108. So that means those 2 ratios are equivalent. Okay. Real quick, I want you to look at that same problem. I'm going to choose a different color. It's a little sloppy, I know, but okay. So let's look at 4 red to 9 blue and 12 red to 27 blue. You don't have to just cross product. That's not your only. Strategy here. Okay, you can also look and see, well, my red ones changed by how much? Okay, they multiplied by how much? So we went from 4 to 12 by multiplying by 3. So if the blue ones also increase by a multiple of 3, by getting multiplied by 3, then that's another way to check. And so is 9 times 3 27? Yes, it is. So that means that's just another way to check to see if they are equivalent or proportional. Okay, so how do we solve proportions? Because a proportion is going to have a missing value. So all we do is we cross product. We still cross product, but we can't multiply everything. Then we divide by the number that we have remaining. Okay, so I'm going to do this as a problem. So we've already done the cross product thing, so I'm not going to do 4 times x. Okay, I have 4 red to 9 blue, 12 red to something. We're trying to find x. We're trying to find the missing value. Okay, so I'm not going to do 4 times x. I could, but we haven't gone into algebra yet because that actually would be 4 times x. So I can't multiply that right now. But what can I cross product? I can cross product 9 and 12. Well, 9 times 12 is 108. Okay? And what does 4 times x have to equal for it to be proportional or for it to be equivalent? Well, 4 times x has to equal 108. Okay, so what does that mean? We have 4 times something, right, which is the x, and that has to equal 108. So we just have to find that little box there, right? Well, 4 times something is 108, so if we did that backwards, wouldn't you just divide by 4 to find out what x is? We would do 108 divided by 4 equals something. Okay? So this is like fact family stuff from back in the day whenever you did that. So 108 divided by 4 is 27. So that missing value, x, equals 27. Okay? All right, so let's look at this one over here on the right. It is not labeled because I took it directly from your assignment. It is letter, I don't know. It's letter N, if you want to know that. This is letter N from your assignment. Okay, so let's look. What can we multiply? We want to cross product. So what, and if you want to just do this right here, what can we multiply? What can we cross product? Well, we can't multiply 30 times a because we're going to end up with 30a, which we're not ready for. That's later in algebra. But we can multiply 23 times 8, can't we? 23 times 8. Well, 25 times 8 is 200. So I believe this is going to be 192. Actually, I could be wrong, but yeah, I think I'm wrong. 23 times 8 is 100. I'm going to erase that letter right there because it's throwing me off a little bit. That's where I want to put my answer. So 23 times 8 is 184. Okay? So a times 30 has to equal 184, right? So we have a times 30 equals 184. Well, what can we do? We can do the inverse operation, which is division. So do 184 divided by 30, and that will equal a. Okay? 184 divided by 30 equals, running out of space, 6.13. All right. So proportions aren't bad. You'll have no problem on your assignment. You are doing this whole page. If you're in my class, it looks like all of the answers go to the 10th place. So that's as far as you have to go. So this answer, the last one, which is 6.13, the answer is actually just 6.1. Okay? The proportions are already set up for you, except for the last 3 or 4. You have to set those up. But remember, you've done this before. You've done it since 4th grade. You did it in 5th grade a little bit because you did do equivalent fractions. 6th grade you did proportions. So this is like 3rd or 4th year of doing something very similar to this. Okay? If you have any questions, very quietly ask your neighbor, very quietly look at your journal, and you will do great.